primarily on cards, right? The rest was primarily all cash. If you went to this ice cream stand to buy the 20 rupees ice cream, you would pay cash, right? You went to Nehru Place to buy equipment for your computer for 1,500 rupees or whatever, you did it on cash, right?
You don't even go to Nehru Place anymore.
Well, I still do, actually. I'm a geek. I still do. But what has changed, with the advent of, demonetization was, of course, the beginning of it. But with the technologies such as UPI, what has changed? It has changed the mindset of people. Now people are transacting today using digital technologies, right? UPI, Mastercard are all examples of what people are using. I was in Singapore last week. I was meeting with an Indian banker, and he was telling the story that he was in, I think, one of the, either Kaziranga or Corbett, I forget which park, but he has been going there and taking pictures of wildlife for the last 10 years. And he said up until about 2 years ago, he always had to carry cash with him to do that, right? And he told the story that now he was carrying this, this app, and there were places where he just had to scan the UPI code, if you will, or any kind of QR code, and he could just make the payment. So he said he used no cash actually in that entire trip, which was a very powerful, story that I heard from him. So I think what has happened in India is actually telling the world how to do this. Now, important thing to know about this is, if you think about it, payment technology companies such as mine, we have been at it for the last 50 plus years. However, we've made progress, but what has happened is in the last 5 or 6 years, the government has supported digital payments in a big way, whether it is through regulation, whether it is through mandates, whatever it is. UPI's success story is a combination of emerging technology. It is a combination of technology being there, user experience being created. It's the fact that the mobile phones now exist. People have access to mobile phones. Internet connectivity exists. It's all of that. But a big portion is because the government is really pushing it hard. And I think that is something that India is teaching the world. And we are seeing this. In my just prior role before this current role, I was based in Singapore. And countries like Thailand, Philippines, Indonesia, they're learning from what India has done and putting a regulatory framework around digital payments, which we did not have. So that's what India is really teaching the world. And we ourselves in Mastercard, when demonetization happened, we were the first, I think, international player who were able to create a soft POS. What basically meant was we were able to create your smartphone into a payment acceptance device. And we took that learning ourselves from India to some of our other countries. So that was our learning in that process. So in many ways, I think India is teaching the world how to go about digital payments.
You were just talking about your friend's experience at Kaziranga or Corbett. But how long before digital penetration, and especially when it comes to banking, reaches tier 2, 3, or 4 cities as well in India? Because while you and I may not have even seen our banker's face or even gone to our banks for I don't know how many years, at least I can talk about myself, everything is digital, right? But that's not the same when it comes to Bharat, still.
So listen, Bharat, I love the fact that you're using that term, because that's a term I have been trying to use at Mastercard now as well. I'm saying let's not call it India, let's call it Bharat. So what has happened is, a combination of things. It is, whether it is banks, large banks, or whether it is telecom players, they are actually now using their access in the villages to promote banking, right? So the fact that today a villager has a phone on his hand, the fact that there is education going. So education is a big element of this, right? There's a huge amount of education going on with the villagers, with the MSMEs in these villages, where we're telling them the benefits of digitization. And so I think the fact that they have a phone that is connected to the internet, the fact that somebody is coming, whether it is starting from the panchayat, whether it is happening with the village elders, the fact that bank officials are coming, telecom officials are coming, the fact that the small kirana shop today is a recharge shop, the fact that you can pay bills electronically from there, all of that is creating an experience for those rural villagers, if you will, to understand the benefits of digital and the benefits of banking. And therefore, what has happened, if you think about it, the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana started about 6 or 7 years ago, in which I think 450 million bank accounts were opened, and people said, oh, these were all empty bank accounts. They are sitting with about $25 billion today of money in it. So they are not empty bank accounts, and that's a big number. So the kind of scale that we've seen in India in the rural sector itself is very staggering.
Right. You talked about everyone having a mobile phone, and that's pretty much a reality. They may not have a fridge or an AC at their house or a washing machine, but everyone everyone has a smartphone, right? We're already talking 6G while we are still just about migrating to 4G, Bharat that is. What happens when we progress to 5G or when all of India becomes 6G? What would it do to the future of banking?
See what happened in India, if you think about it, in our homes, really the phones, the landlines were something that were primarily in cities, tier 1, tier 2 cities. The villages never really got it, right? Very few houses in the villages, maybe the block secretary or the panchayat had it. And so India already took a leap forward when the first wave of wireless came about, right? Which was about 15 odd years ago now. I think what has happened since then with the transformation of technology from 1G to 2G to 3G and so on and so forth, speed has only increased, right? And we are seeing that in India. To your point, 4G is still something that is still emerging in India in many places. What will happen with 5G and 6G is two things are going to happen. One, still a lot of rural players are not using a smartphone, they're using a feature phone. So two things will happen. One, these feature phones will now be able to work faster because technology will be there for them to respond faster. Today, the feature phones that they have don't do that. But more importantly, I think what will happen is the innovation that is happening around apps today. Again, if you go back to UPI, I forget the exact term, but UPI has a version where you can actually transact through NPCI, you can transact using a feature phone. You don't really need a smartphone to do a money transfer, right? I forget what that technology is called today, but it is there, right? So you will have to continue developing those kind of technologies, but the fact that 5G and 6G will make it faster, the dispensation of banking features, if I were to say that, would be more easily available to a rural or an urban player for that matter.
ओके तो ये थे गौतम अग्रवाल साहब जो मास्टर कार्ड से हैं। ये डिवीजन प्रेसिडेंट है साउथ एशिया के मास्टर कार्ड के गौतम अग्रवाल, जो इंडिया फेस्ट जो चल रहा है डिजिटल फेस्ट उसमें अपनी राय रखते हुए। चलिए